Okay, yeah.
So I'm really happy to have one of our other year-long initiates here. Kirsty is here to share and chat with us and share about her experience of the year-long initiation that she's just completed. So hello, Kirsty. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Just, yeah, kind of finished work for the year on a dark moon, I realized as well yesterday. So that felt like that was the right time to be ending. Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to the summer.
Amazing. So you finished a year long and then you finished work for the year.
Yes.
So this
Yeah.
ended, hasn't there? That's really amazing.
Yeah, and that was funny actually, for when we were doing the initiation, I was talking to one of the others about that sort of sense of this is the point in terms of our year long where it felt like it matched up with my usual cycles as a teacher, you know, kind of coming to the end, doing tests, and then, you know, kind of winding down. So yeah,
I love it. So one of my memories of you, Kirsty, is that from this year that we've just finished is that you were pretty much one of the first people to book on the year long. And I met Kirsty on a video call like this, really, really early on, the year before, or maybe even the year before that. And it was just after the previous years had closed, and you turned up and you said, I definitely want to do this. This is really exciting. And I said, do you want to have a chat about it? And you're like, okay, let's do that. And we had a really gorgeous long video chat about the year long. And then you booked on. And then I didn't meet you. And then you joined us. And it feels really, so what was it that called you? How did you find the work? And what was it that you wanted from it? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I think I was drawn to it because it appeared in my life, or you appeared in my life as a, you know, on social media at a point when it was mid-pandemic. And, you know, I think like lots of people, it was an opportunity to sort of take stock of where I'd been for the, you know, kind of previous few years. And I, you know, had a career and got, you know, kind of 2 young children, and my husband at the time was retraining, and he had done quite a lot of sort of courses and various things sort of through, you know, through a lot of our marriage and our relationship actually. And so it kind of got to a point where I thought, actually now I need something for me. I need, you know, having spent a lot of time raising, you know, not by myself, I will, you know, but raising 2 small children, supporting him in doing those things, and supporting, you know, the kind of my learners, my students, that I just thought I need something that's for me. And it really sort of spoke to me. I got to admit, I didn't really have any sense of what a year-long initiation was. I just thought, that sounds interesting. That sounds like it'll be challenging and enriching, and I'm just, you know, would like to be able to carve out some time that's just for me and to see what that brings me. That was it, really.
It was really, really special. It's always special to watch everybody, but just thinking about you, it's been really special to watch you through the year. And not so much shift and change, but just get comfortable. Like, that's been really, really special. Have there been any moments through the year, any memories of anything that we've been doing that feel important to you, that you're going to hold on to, remember?
The one that stands out to me is there were lots of lovely moments in in our circles that were lovely and really powerful. But there are sort of, the ones that are sort of jumping out at me now while I think about it is the first drum journey, because again had never done a drum journey, so I was like, okay, whatever. So that was really lovely, and I wasn't expecting to have the kind of experience I did, in that it was, you know, quite well developed, and you know, and quite powerful, and it, you know, it seemed like it was something that was significant to me. And there was the reclaiming, you know, activity was fun. And you know, as women, we're often taught to be small, aren't we, and quiet and submissive. So kind of being able to be big and strong and powerful and actually engage in a battle, physical battle with somebody, albeit in a very controlled way, was really was a highlight. And yeah, and the person who I did that with, on the initiation, they said to me about that would be a memory for them as well, so that was good. And then finally, when there was one evening, so it was sort of on the Saturday night between the days, where we did a fire ceremony. And I remember sort of standing next to, well, surrounded by the people who were staying, but one other participant took my hand, and I just sort of, you know, kind of gripped her hand back, and sort of leant over and whispered to her, I've been waiting my whole life for this kind of experience of just this, you know, elemental, you know, kind of, you know, female solidarity in this land that, you know, felt so special. I will treasure that, I think, for the rest of my days.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And your connection to this land here has been really quite special, hasn't it? I've heard you say it a lot, but I've really seen it as well. Just the way that you, and do you feel like that's connected you to land in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been, you know, obviously our year long, we shifted space, didn't we, as you moved, and the wellness space and stuff was lovely. It was really, really lovely, very beautiful, and you know, a little spot and whatever. But there was just something primordial about the land that you occupy, and it calls to me. It does. It kind of annoys me that I kind of, you know, like I'm at the moment, I'm in a position where the likelihood is I'm not going to come back there until November. So that's been really, you know, it's a lovely space, and but it does scare me a little bit as well. It's quite, you know, it's a fierce place, but a very healing place as well. Yeah.
That thing of that the things that scare you are actually like really deep and important, rather than actual fear, like really powerful things within you. I'm going to ask you another question, but I'd first love you to talk, if you wanted to, a little bit more about that first drum journey. You know, as somebody that hadn't experienced a drum journey before, or maybe some of the women that would be potentially joining our year long in the future, they're going, yeah, maybe I've heard about a drum journey, or maybe I've done one a bit, but I don't really know what this looks like. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it was really lovely. Because, you know, the kind of space was really cozy, and, you know, you made everything lovely and kind of dark, and lots of blankets, and, you know, we had permission to kind of put ourselves wherever we felt most comfortable and kind of cocoon ourselves. And, you know, I'd sort of done guided meditations before, but I'd not done a drum journey. So I was sort of expecting a similar thing. But I think with guided meditations, what has often happened to me is just my mind gets bored. I just kind of go off somewhere else and do something else. Whereas, like when you started drumming, again, I want to come back to that. There's something kind of, you know, primal about that noise and about that rhythm, and how we, you know, like it felt like it was connecting to a part of me that I hadn't been aware of before, or at least if I had, it been fleeting. And so that was kind of my first drum journey was when I met my, you know, kind of, I still struggle a bit with the kind of terminology around it. My spirit guide, or one of my kind of protectors, or, you know, whatever. But, you know, she made herself very clear to me during that journey, and it felt like a really warm and lovely kind of supportive presence. Yeah, and when when we kind of came out of it, I just felt like I'd had a really, really lovely, not nap, because that assumes that I'd kind of, you know, I'd turned off, and I hadn't. I'd been there entirely, but I felt like I'd been refreshed, and that I now had this awareness of this presence that I hadn't had before, and that presence has been really easy to recall, and to become aware of, you know, in my day-to-day life. So it was really special.
Does that feel like a relationship now that you have regularly?
Yeah, daily, actually.
Amazing.
So yeah.
And your connection is so special. And I remember partway through the year, it was maybe 2/3 of the way through the year, and suddenly I heard other people in your groups, all talking about you, it just individually to me or to each other, like, oh, and they all said, all roughly at the same time, it was very much like, you need to hear this now, Ruth. They all said, Kirsty makes me feel really safe. And it just felt like this really important moment in, you know, how we're working with finding your magic. Just felt like such an important moment for, oh, there it is. You know, like it was really obvious. And it's very often how it happens is that there's a sudden moment of, oh, there it is. I find it really interesting that it was your other, you know, sisters, the other women in the circle that were pointing that out. It wasn't for me to see, it was for them to say all at the same time, this is what Kirsty does, and how grateful they are and honoured they were to be with you in that space. And I think that really shifted us into then your initiation and now the work afterwards, hasn't it? So I've been asking and working with Kirsty since the initiation, asking her to hold space with me for a few things, because her presence is exactly what's needed in those spaces. So is there anything what's happening for you with that? What does it look like after post initiation? Because we talk a lot about the year, and then what happens afterwards?
What happens afterwards? Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I felt the actual initiation, I feel like I have to talk about this in relation to the initiation itself, where, you know, I was given this kind of responsibility, which, you know, and, you know, I kind of had this sort of, I knew what was going to happen. I did know on some level what was going to happen. And yeah, I think it's just that sort of part of what's happened is just being accepting of those qualities about myself that, you know, kind of, I've often, I think, wished that I was more dynamic or more extroverted or more fiery or more, you know, there are members of our group who are really sort of present in their emotions, able to express them, whereas I am more stoic and I'm more reserved. But actually that's, you know, that's because I'm kind of grounded, and, you know, I think it's just a sense of knowing that that's a strength, that's what I do for people, that I can provide a safe space, but equally I can, you know, find myself, I get kind of not enraged, but I get angry at people who I feel are victimizing others. So I feel like that kind of protection extends into standing up for people or getting in between people who are, you know, kind of, attacking others. So I was reminded of an event last weekend of a few years ago where I almost started to fight, and it's just sort of being reminded of that event where I was sort of protecting some of my female friends, that it, like, now with the knowledge of this, you know, kind of what I've learned since, is like, oh yeah, there it was, you know. these things that came up before.
This support, this holding,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Really gorgeous. I love it. Oh, it's been so lovely to talk to you, Kirsty. Thank you so much for sharing time. Is there anything else?
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to share about? Anything you want to, tell us about?
I think for me, there were two things that have come out this year that I think if you'd have told me sort of April 2022 before I started that, I would have regular contact with spirit guides, I would be able to kind of go out into the world and see things that are important and be able to use that knowledge to improve my life, I would have probably said you were bonkers. And also kind of, I'm always one of those people that I was creative as a child. I was, I played instruments, did theatre, I did art, and then that all sort of stopped when I became an adult and, responsibilities and whatever. But what's been lovely is that this year has sort of given me kind of mission to kind of go, nobody cares, Kirsty. Just do what you want to do, and and share that with people. And if they like it, great. If they don't, and that's fine. What's important is you doing things that make you happy. So I am, I feel like my brain has gone into a much more creative space, which is awesome, and I'm really enjoying that.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Shifted into that left brain more, and that feminine space that we've been holding space for all year. So that's really gorgeous. Thank you so much. It's been really lovely to chat.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Loads of love to you.
You too.